At the top.
What?
At the top of your paper. Everything on this paper is going to be degrees. Everything on the next set of notes is distances, lengths. You got to keep them separate in your mind. That's why I'm giving you two separate sheets. There's only 2 or 3 sets of notes or rules for each sheet. Even though you're looking at 8 different drawings on here, there's only 2 rules. Here's your rule. What you're going to look for are 2 segments like this. What do we call these segments? Underline. It's a 2-chord situation. And it turns out that the angle inside of this, you can call it a bow tie or an hourglass. Do you guys know what an hourglass is?
Yeah.
This rule applies to the arcs that are at the ends of the bow tie, and the angle has to be inside the bow tie.
Oh.
The rule is add arcs, divide by 2, and that will get you that angle. So 50 plus 60 divided by 2 gives you 110 divided by 2, which gives you 55.
Okay.
So the rule that I'm giving you is to find the angle. And this information is appearing already on the sideboard over here. It's in this top green section. By the time we're through today, you'll be done with all of your circle rules. Your job is to memorize them. Yep. Question? You have to have something in front of you. This is showing the rule. Here's a typical question. Something's going to be missing. You're going to have a few pieces of information and something will be missing. You have to look at the situation and ask yourself, what kind of angle is it? Well, it looks like it's an angle that's formed by 2 chords.
Yeah.
And the 2-chord rule is you add the arcs and divide by 2. You just got to make sure that the arcs are at the ends of the bow tie and that the angle is inside the bow tie. Yes.
So it's basically a number that's between 30 and 90 that's like the same distance apart.
Like maybe the average?
I couldn't remember the net word for it, so it's like
So 160 divided by 2, what is our angle? 80 degrees. Let's point out that what we're finding is right there. Don't forget basic things like vertical angles. You know that those are opposite each other. If you have 55 or 55, could you figure out the other 2 angles?
Yes.
Aren't they just linear pairs? Yeah. So don't forget first and second quarter. Yes.
What if you have the inside angle from the outside?
We're going to be taking a look at some example problems like that. That'll be part of your homework today.
Well, you just do the reverse.
I'm giving you, exactly, you work backwards.
Use this one.
I'm giving you very basic problems today. You're going to have some homework problems that show you different variations. So that's your first rule. Add the arcs, divide by 2, that gets you the angle. Underline, secants, tangents. And everybody staring at the front board. How many times does a secant touch the surface? Twice. How many times does a tangent touch? Once. So if I'm seeing once and once here, let's label it. Tangents. Tangents. I see another tangent here. I see a secant. Or secant. There. I see one here. I see one here. And we're going to place a variable in these angle spots. Where are, well, we're going to be doing some, you guys are going to be working together with these cards. These cards summarize all of the rules that are on there. Next class will be, you can make it into any game that you'd like, as long as you memorize. You have to have some information. Here's the rule. Rule number 2, subtract arcs, divide by 2. That applies to all 3 of these situations, whether it's tangents making the angle, a tangent and a secant, or 2 secants making the angle. It's the same rule. This rule gives you the angle. So you've got to have some information to at least have some arcs so that you can find an angle. Put in 260 here, put 100 here. Let's put 190, 50, and about 80 and 20.
Where are those angles? Where are those numbers supposed to be?
They are the arcs. So 260 is this arc, 100 is this arc. 190 is from here to here. 80 is from here to here. And you'll notice where those arcs are, they're in between. They've got to be the ones that are trapped by the tangents and secants. What am I supposed to do with all those arcs? Then what? Go ahead, figure out what the angle is. These, of course, would be simple problems. Some of the problems will be that easy. Other ones, you'll have to find the arc, knowing the angle. What do? I do 260 minus 100 divided by 2. 160 divided by 2 is 80. What is that? That is, point to the angle. That's what you're finding when you do that. What is the 70? That is the exterior angle that's formed by those 2 pieces, the tangent and the secant. What's the last angle? 60 divided by 2, that's 30 degrees. That is that angle. Are these easy? Yes, but you got to remember that the rule for this situation is subtracting the arcs dividing by 2. Those were easy. You had all the information you needed. It was very obvious. Let's do some ones that are a little more difficult. Let's say I've got 250 here.
Would this be rule number 2?
Yes, because what are these angles being formed by? They're being formed by tangents and secants. Let's start with those two.
You have one like that.
Then somehow you should be able to figure out what that missing arc is.
Oh, I got it.
And if you're stuck, it's probably because you're ignoring the fact that the circle has 360 degrees.
I think I'm making it.
Try those first two. What's the rule? Well, I don't have this arc, so I got to determine it before I can do the formula. What is that missing arc?
What's that?
What's a circle? So I'm doing this. I'm doing that first, just so I can figure out my arc. Now I actually do the subtraction, 250, 110. This is just to figure out the 110. Divided by 2, that is 140 divided by 2, that is 70. What is that? That's that angle. We don't have time for the proofs of why this actually works until after SOLs. And I will explain probably one of these. The proof for one of them is similar to the proof of the other. For right now, you have to take my word for it that this actually works and that this is for real. You want the arcs in between. So I need this one, which I have, and I need this one right here, which I do not have. How do I figure out that little piece?
It's 30.
I've got the rest of this. I've got the 190. I've got the 140. That's equal to 330. What's 360 minus 330?
30.
So this arc is 30. Now I can do the problem. Because when I'm subtracting, I got to use these two arcs. This one and this one.
Why do you use those?
The rule is that we're looking for the ones intercepted by the secant and the tangent. 140 and 190 together. Because I know this much of the circle, the part that's left must be whatever's left from 360. 80 degrees is that angle. In all the ones up until this point, we were looking for the angle. But what if you're not looking for the angle? What if you have the angle and it's 20 degrees and you don't know that arc, but you have this arc? You make an equation. It's still, what's the rule? Subtract arcs. What are the two arcs in this case? 100 and x. So I subtract them, then what? Don't forget to divide by 2. That's what people forget. And this time we already know what the angle is. You're solving that equation for x. This time we're looking for an arc. X is 60. Let's see if we... How do you get rid of that 2? Times by 2. Times by 2. That gets rid of that. Subtract 100. Negative x equals negative 60. X equals 60. What is that? This time, we found an arc. It isn't. But that board's going to be white. That's why next class we will be looking at 3x5 cards of all the rules and practicing and memorizing. That's angles and arcs. We still have one more portion with 3 rules called segments.
My brother would have loved He got so much life.
What's her name? What's her name? Your mom. What's her name? What's her name? What's the name of the place? The thing that you made.
Hello.
Mom. What's the name?
Hey, son, this is my camera.